Brother Rizza, we're going to kind of jump into chapter 4, which is more of the formal educated classroom environment as opposed to the self-taught person or group of people. And you kind of dived into, are people willing to conceive or even consider that what they've been taught was wrong? Or if it's not true, or is it used as a tool to control?
Well, I'll say it this way. And the reason why I wrote that chapter, and I put that almost directly in the middle of the book, was because people who are now starting to learn new things after having gone into school for 4, 5, 10, 12 years, depending on whatever topic, legal, medical, etc., a lot of them are being faced with the reality that they were mistaught to a degree, or they were not taught certain things intentionally. They were not. They had information withheld from them. John D. Rockefeller, who was the founder of the General Education Board and who was the primary funder of the schooling system in America, he stated, quote, "I do not want a nation of thinkers, I want a nation of workers." At that point, if that's the mentality of one of the main people who fund your schooling system, then that should tell you exactly what type of schooling you will have. His advisor was a man by the name of Frederick T. Gates, who specified that we do not want to raise up from these people thinkers, philosophers, people who are good speakers or orators. We don't want those with we just want athletes. We just want people who are able to be controlled and turn knobs and press buttons, etc. Paraphrasing. So when I looked at it, I said, damn, well, no wonder America, we have all these doctors, but the country is sicker. We have all these psychiatrists and psychologists, but we are crazy as hell. We have all these economists, but the economy is horrible. What does that mean? Somebody was fed a lie. That's my main thing. They perpetrated a fraud. That was false advertising. Okay, so now we have a lot of people with degrees who, again, they didn't know. They didn't know. Okay, and that's the main thing. They just had no idea. So the person who was formal educated versus the one who was self-taught, large percentage of millionaires and billionaires that people look up to right now do not have the degrees in their arenas, from Bill Gates all the way around. They don't have those degrees, but they have the highest level of influence.
I've seen that.
It's a whole list of them, and they're self-taught in a large percentage. Some, of course, formal education, like we all have some formal education, but a large number of people who are the most successful were autodidacts, meaning self-taught people without a formal education. So it's just something to be, to take into consideration.
Was it Steve Jobs?
I believe he was also
Steve
to a degree as
Jobs.
well. Yes. Yeah, no, it just has to be looked at, and it doesn't mean that we need to say one is better than the other.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just, let's be clear, just because I don't have a degree does not mean I'm a degree below you in intelligence.
Right. Absolutely.
Let's not do that, and vice versa. Let's just not treat each other that way, and let's also see how we have been scammed, because that's another reason why the student loan debt is at such a high proportion, because people were lied to go into getting a degree that did not benefit them to go towards handling the very debt that they accumulated in order to get the damn degree in the first place.
Yeah,
right.
And
it was a game.
And a lot of people in the ROI, the return on the investment for college, is not what it used to be later for our parents, who could get a job and get a degree, get a job, and then you take care of a 3 to 4 family household and still be able to buy a home. I was watching on the news the other day, and this is kind of just off everything that we've been discussing. They said it takes about $140K to live in the state of California, particularly Los Angeles inner city areas, just to be happy.
On average,
$140,000.
It is the second most expensive city to live in, next to now Miami, Florida, in America. California is the second in the country now. But it also has one of the highest levels of autism, highest levels of obesity, highest levels of dropout rates, all this stuff. So it's kind of like, what the hell have we been sold? So, people have to be willing to now realize, yes, I may have been lied to, and I have to be willing to change what I now think. It's a cognitive dissonance circumstance. I don't want that to be the truth, because damn it, that means I spent all that time, paid all that money,
and wasted money
just to get this amount of actual good information that's useful, and the rest of that is a bunch of nonsense. It's rough.
It's like unplugging yourself from that matrix and kind of go back to that, because it's like, if I admit that, I then take accountability and I have to say the decisions that I made were just wrong, which horrible. Doesn't mean that it's your fault, but if you're not knowledgeable and you don't know, it's different.
Yes.
You can then correct that and say, I'm now knowledgeable. I could take that and then associate and and kind of move forward to make better decisions based on that information that I've now obtained.
Absolutely.
Informed decisions.
Exactly. We can't change what we're unwilling to confront. It just won't happen.
And then a lot of the schools, I think you said the founders, you said you had the Gates, the Vanderbilts, the Carnegies. I don't even know personally who the Carnegies are.
Come, brother. Ooh,
I don't, me personally, so.
Listen, brother. Okay, dealing with the Carnegies, when dealing with the DuPonts, the Rockefellers, the DuBeers, the Wahlbergs, the Rothschilds. Yes.
The raise that they have the...
Brother, these are the international banking families. Starting with the Rothschilds for the most part. These are the people, the families that are the highest level of influence in the world, who started with areas, for example, in the oil areas, like the Rockefellers. Yes. John D. Rockefeller, primarily an oil baron. That's where he made the majority of his money. Then you have the Rothschilds with the banking system over in Europe and all of that area. All of these families are the ones who control the influence of where the world is for the most part. Control the policies of government, control hiring, literally whining and dining politicians, and then bankrolling their entire campaign. We're going to get you made to be president. I mean, think about that. You're talking about people with who buy and sell countries, bro. Like, this is on a completely different level of power. These are not good people for the most part, but they're just people who just did business. Business. But they did business in such a high level way to where most of it was unethical, completely.
Of course.
Inhumane, terrible. But it's on that level. Like, we argue about little stuff. The stuff that they dealing with is on a whole.
We probably couldn't even fathom it.
No.
We probably couldn't even think it. Our worst thoughts in order to make money probably wouldn't even be able to touch.
Bro, trillions now. You're talking about the trillions of dollars.
Right.
Like I said, buying and selling countries and nations. That is not, you cannot, ain't no loan big enough. All right? For you to be able to go and leverage that. No, bro. It's a completely different level of power.
Yeah. And I also see kind of, we were talking about just dealing with specifically with the United States, how they say that we were in the top 10 being the most educated countries, but come to find out, it seems like we're not even in the top 20 universal.
No.
We didn't even make the top 20 list.
No.
And a lot less people are reading, and they don't want to be knowledgeable.
No.
You know what I mean? And kind of get into that of how that is the case.
No, in America, for example, currently with adults, roughly 20% of the United States, the adult population is below the 6th grade reading average. Okay, they're functional illiterate for the vast majority. 20% of American adults. So there's 330 million people in America, right? So if you look at that percentage and you say 20% of that, you're talking about people in the tens of millions who are not able to read and write. Adults. Right. So you look at that, then you look at the percentage of people who are not reading, the percentage of people who are not graduating from college, the percentage of people who are not even going to college. Now you have to look at all of this. So when you look at engineering and technology and all this, America's not in the highest level when it comes to us originating it. We import people from other countries. We import other people from Nigeria and China and all this. Why? Because they have a much more serious connection to intelligence and knowledge as it pertains to respecting it more. And I'm saying on average. And we do too, out here to a degree, but when we're saying as a country, we have to humble ourselves because America's not the greatest and she never really has been in that area when it comes to education. So yeah, we're not in that top list. As a matter of fact, when I started looking over the recent numbers, it blew my mind. Pretty much most of the countries that America criticizes are more intelligent. I'm like, damn, that's kind of interesting. So yeah, it's a very interesting situation.
Man, and you have anything to kind of iterate on, Dave?
Just just the education thing is just it's unfortunate because like like you said, it's just it's a vicious cycle, and it is a conditioning, I think, for the entire country. I mean,
absolutely.
As a kid growing up, I have a family that a lot of them college educated, and they reaped a big benefit. They came from small town in Louisiana, and big family moved to California, and all of them very productive. Pass that down a couple generations, college is not the same anymore. You go to college, you get all this debt, and then you still don't really reap a big benefit from it. So it's like a waste.
I was looking at a commercial yesterday online where they said, would you like to get your master's degree in less than 1 year for less than $11,000?
Oh.
I said, what the hell is that? what is, wait a minute. I'm like, hold on. Okay, not an associate's, which is 2 years normally, not a bachelor's, but not a master's, which is normally 4. You're telling me I can get a master's in certain areas for less than $12,000? grand. They said less than 11 grand
in 1 year.
In one, oh, what kind of damn food stamp type of? No, that lets me know what type of value they place on degrees now.
Yeah.
What does it really mean now?
Can't be that great.
No, seriously, because now you got people making millions of dollars on social media who have no degrees whatsoever. You got 12-year-olds doing video game reviews on YouTube making millions every year. So now the value on a degree is far less, even though the trades, for example, and things like that to live and build and things like that are very important. The attention is being pushed elsewhere. So now they're like, here, we'll just give you degrees, just a piece of paper now. It's like, it didn't used to be that. It used to be a lot of hard work that went into that. But now it's like, look here, just here, you have a degree. Great.
You have it, put it on your resume.
Right. Oh, man.
We deal with that a lot, especially dealing with the for-profit or the Corinthian colleges who misled a lot of people into believing that they could go for short periods of times, which President Biden has now implemented so many different changes to where if those schools close down to the loss of credentials or accreditations, or you weren't able to graduate or get a certification or have those credits be deemed non-transferable. Okay, so the school shut down. I still got an education to understand that. But at that point, I can't even further my education to transfer to a different school and pick up where I left off, because they're saying due to the loss of those credentials, they're no longer even validated as that information is even being able to be used moving forward. And you know, they've kind of tackled, I guess, Barr's defense where my own, you know what I mean, as far as my spouse, she had like not to indulge too much, but it was like 40K, and she was supposed to be due to graduate with a criminal justice, degree to be a juvenile probation officer, and then 2 weeks before graduation, she went to school and the doors were locked and it was closed down, and then they sent her a tab for 40K.
Oh, wow.
You owe us 40,000,
and that happened to a lot of people in a lot of schools.
And imagine if she didn't have us, who are knowledgeable how to deal with it, because even now, even when we go to look at it, it says it's going to be discharged 100% in full, but she still has the balance. You know what I mean? So in the process of people looking for hope, dealing with student loans, which is, by the way, at roughly 1.7 to 1.8 trillion, which is the largest debt in America, second largest debt in America right now, right below mortgage debt. A very unpopular opinion to some, which you can say only roughly 13% of people have decided to go to college. So you have people that say, why should I pay for forgiveness for their degrees when I just felt like I didn't want to go to college? You know what I mean? It's more people who don't want forgiveness than who actually do.
That's true.
And that's the crazy part. So you have a fine line of people trying to implement specific things or fix broken programs and different things like that in order to kind of appease both sides. And I'm not going to get too much to Joe Biden's sleepy joke, because I hear
it's real.
You know what I mean?
But the educational field, brother,
with midterm elections coming, I think that they'll do something or make some sort of announcement.
Of course.
He's been definitive in saying by the end of August, whether I'm going to discharge loans or not, or I'm going to extend it, you'll have some sort of answer. And I kind of say that to get into, just dealing with chapter 4. You even said out of roughly 739 out of over 2,400 billionaires, they don't have degrees.
No.
And it's not a necessity or a commodity, because Google, Apple, they're hiring more based on experience. So if you come in with more experience and you're knowledgeable with that without a degree, they're more likely to hire you than somebody who's been formally educated.
Of course.
So and that's not a knock, because we deal with it, but it's just both sides of the spectrum where
companies are
it's effed up.
More real-time experience.
No, because they see. They've analyzed the data over time, how many people they've had to fire because they came from college with no experience, and we brought him in, to see if he can last 2-3 months. But this guy who's been under us, watching us for years, or he was doing his own thing, comes in, he could fix problems like this with no degree, but he helped us to make more money in less time. Well, you know what? Might as well. I get it, but now it's very disheartening, because it's like, damn, people are taking years out of their lives, accumulating debt to get a degree that they can't even use because they don't have the experience. Now it's like, wow, when people used to laugh at you for having experience and no piece of paper to validate it, now you're being laughed at with just a piece of paper and no experience to validate it. Damn. It's a cold game.
Yeah. And we'll dive into chapter 5, kind of our unity, the community, and not more or less the individual. What really struck me, man, it was a part in here on page 63 where you said, have you ever tried to establish a business and work in every capacity and wear every hat and be in every job position and try to make it a successful move?
I know that's you.
That was literally me to where I had to be forced to figure out how can I delegate my time and be able to work as an owner and work on scaling and work on building, as opposed to being an employee with inside of your own business, but also you have to work in order to gain capital so you can help yourself to even be able to help other people. And then even after that, it's like, this is my baby, man. If I put you in control, what are you gonna do with this? Do you have the same intentions? Because I might not have the ability, based on that time being delegated, to micromanage from the top down, and you have to put people in a position that you trust.
That's real.
Kind of get into, how that works as far as, why it's better, to come together and kind of implement staying on code and come up with some sort of agreement in order to make progression, as opposed to saying, I'm the chosen one, or I'm going to do this, I got this by myself.
Well, I'll tell you, here's the crazy part. People want to say they want to fight, or they want to build, they want to do all of this. Everything that we are dealing with works in conjunction with itself. It's a collective unit. People who say they want to fight or they want to have a business. Okay, if you're in a war, everyone is not the archer. Everyone's not the gunman. Everyone's not the swordsman. Everybody, no, there are different factions of this. So we all have different areas. Okay, but wait a minute. When it comes to military and fighting, what's one of the main things that you all need? Food. Where to cook at? Somebody has to be the cook. Okay, somebody has to watch the children, because children are somewhere. So you need somebody to take care of them. You need someone who makes the clothes. I mean, it's we have to think outside the box on this thing. Not only that, when it comes to us being united, for example, our physical body. It's funny how we argue all the time, but our body is united while we're arguing. Your organs inside of your body are working together. What if your heart started gang banging on your lungs? What if your lungs started gang banging on your kidney, and your stomach started gang banging on the intestines? Man, I don't feel like passing nothing down to you today. What the hell? Yeah, you'd be done. If the heart said, like, I'm gonna just stop beating, I'm gonna see what all y'all gonna do about that. The eyes like, I don't feel like working today.
Everybody freaks out.
No, I mean, really. So we need to be more like our physical body and work together, or else we will die as a collective. We have to come together. It's very simple.
And
there's unity, strength and unity.
Absolutely.
In numbers.
And I think that ties into our business model. When dealing with people with student loans and stuff, I kind of made some notes, because we try to get the borrowers to be on code.
Absolutely.
And they need to be on code, because sometimes the Department of Education or these servicers who we deal with when assisting people, they make it very difficult, because it's set up like that for you to fail, so that you have to come to them for advice. And I won't dive too deep into it, but the Navients, the Nelnets, the Sally Mays, which you did mention in the book.
Sally Mae. Jesus.
The lawsuits and the amount of them. And the amount of knowledge that you can just look up strictly through Google. You don't even really have to do too much of a deep dive to know that they've misled borrowers. That they've tweaked numbers. They've lied about interest rates. Especially, interest on top of interest. Literally, when you consolidate, you take the interest that you owed and they compounded it, added to the principal, and then you accrue more interest on the principal balance from the interest that was added to the principal while accruing interest. And that's how you get people who take out maybe $40,000, and then I talked to a lady yesterday. She had $194K. She took out $90,000 in federal student loans, and the rest of the remaining balance of the whole 194, only 90 of it was what was taken out. The rest was interest.
Wow.
Literally, out of 194K, 90K was originally borrowed. And because you have forbearances and you have, as opposed to making people knowledgeable, if you lost your job, brother, just go into an income-driven program. We'll give you a $0 payment, make a $25 to $50 payment just to combat the interest. So that way, you don't have your credit being affected negatively. So you don't see your balance go up, but at least it gives you the ability to kind of hold on based on your current living situation, your circumstance, whether you're low income right now, whether you lost your job, or whether it's whatever that specific situation may be. But you know what they did? Oh, don't even worry about paying. Let's put you in that forbearance. Let's accrue 7% interest over the next period of these few years. You don't have to pay us nothing. And then when you consolidate or you switch programs, it's like a re-up of another 3 years of forbearance, and then they go back into these things and they just accrue crazy interest and they never make payments.
And hide it, because when you ask for the forbearance, they tell you, by the way, when your forbearance is done, we're going to capitalize all your interest into your balance.
Yeah, they tell you
twice as much.
So up front, they tell you we're going to add it, but people are in a dire situation, so
and they know that.
Take what they
taking
need.
full advantage. Oh my God, it's terrible.
Yeah. Anything, Dave, to kind of?
No, I think you're hitting it right now. It's most of this is, like I said, really on point with really it's the education of people, and it really is. It's disheartening to know that there's so much information that's out there that people are just not connecting to, and how much they're getting taken advantage of. I mean, these programs are really slanted very heavily against the general population under the guise of, hey, this is to help you. Yes. Get an education, make more money, have a good life. Not get an education, go into debt, be stressed, and pay those bills.
Yes.
Because that's really what they're setting you up to do.
And the crazy part is, I was reading something, and it was said, a black graduate has a higher chance of defaulting their federal student loans than their white counterparts who basically dropped out. So you can have a black graduate which has a higher percentage of defaulting on their loans than a white counterpart who actually dropped out of school.
Wow.
Now you're talking about the inequities of employment, though.
Yeah.
Because
that's real.
Two individuals going to college with the exact same degree, but because of the color of their skin, are going to have different opportunities when it comes to employment.
Yes.
Different earning potential.
Thus
the problem.
Getting back to any system that kind of thrives on the destruction you kind of have mentioned, or the annihilation, or the holding a specific group of people down in order for it to succeed, is kind of never a good thing.
Absolutely.
Let me see here. We also went into, we have a lot of great stuff in here, man. It's so crazy. This is crazy. And we also, we kind of got into our,
see that, right?
Man, I'm looking at, I'm like,
yeah. That's public record.
I know it is. I know it is.
Right? They're like, what is it?
Man. Divide and conquer.
Yes.
I don't even think that's something that's really something that's hidden in every aspect of war, in every aspect of manipulation. It's a divide and conquer.
Yes.
And kind of give us your take on that, because I know even you kind of get in here through even different gangs and hoods across the country. It's basically a divide and conquer. That it's a tactic used to maintain control.
Absolutely. The people who are in control at the highest levels, which are, those international bankers, people call them the elitists, they call them the globalists, you call them those who believe in the supremacy of themselves, whether white or Arab or black or Jewish or whoever. That group of people at the top, the only way they can maintain perpetual control is by keeping the majority of the people uneducated. Keeping the majority of people arguing amongst themselves. I'm not interested in arguing with somebody who doesn't have any power or control. I'm not. Because once I realized, wait a minute, you don't have no damn power to change what's going on. Why am I even arguing with you? But see, we don't think that because they use emotion, they use tricks and lies, they use distrust, they use all these things to keep us doing this right here. And that way, they can continue controlling everything, taking the money, taking the land, controlling the policies. They can do that because the people are not focusing on the real enemy.
Right.
And yes, the main enemy above all enemies is our ignorance.
Right.
That's the number one above everything else, because if we knew what we didn't know, then we'd be able to change the condition that we're living in right now. Yeah. We just have to really point that out and look at it and say, wait a minute, you're not my enemy. You didn't put me in this position or this condition. Yeah. Literally, you didn't do this to all of us. Wait a minute, why the hell are we arguing here? We are not the ones who did all this. Maybe we perpetuate it right now, but we didn't originate this situation. No. Yeah. And once we get that through our head, then the real enemy will manifest and they will no longer have power. Yeah. It's really that simple. And that's what people are starting to realize now. To a degree, they're starting to see it.